Now we all know how we can use search params to filter all the links. But when I filter a link and try to click on the link, it will reset this URL. Now what I want to persist this search result. We can persist the query string when we click on the link by adding it to the link's href. We'll do that by composing the now link and the use location from the React Router DOM into our own link component. Now let's suppose that if I create another component right down here, that's for you can create this component inside a dedicated file as well. Just for this example, I'm going to create here a function, name this function result now link. Now this is my own custom component, and right down here inside this custom component, I'm going to call use location hook. So at the top, we have to first say use location. The use location hook is used to access the current location. So I'm going to say here let location is equal to use location. Now using this use location, I can access my current location. Now just for that, I'm going to return now link component right from this result now link. But what I have to do is I have to combine this current location as well as properties. So at the top right here, I'm going to call an object, and inside this I'm going to say here to and call here spread operator and say props. Just for that, I'm going to call this props right here. So let me first specify here 2, and then I'm going to specify this parameter value, which is 2. And I'm going to combine this value with the location. So I'm going to say here location dot search. Now because I'm using use parameter to filter the input text box, I can access the value of the use parameters using this search property. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the current location plus the search parameter value, and I'm going to specify that to this href attribute, or you can say to this to property. And then if you want to specify your own custom properties to this custom component, then you can call here a spread operator and then specify this props here, something like this. That's it. Now this is your own now link component. Just for that, let me just open my invoices and get rid of this now link, and then specify my own result now link component here. Let me save the changes and show you the result. And now if I search for the invoice and click on any invoice, you can see this is not going to reset this search URL, and I can easily search between these invoices. Now let me just console.log this location. If I say here location.search, save the changes, open the console, then you can see here I'm going to have filter as I'm combining the two with this search location. It means if I try to console.log again the to value, this one, save the changes, reload the browser, then you can notice here I have my URL, and then I'm going to combine that with this filter. So this is going to return the URL what I want, and I'm going to save that URL inside this use location and return that to this component. So whenever I search for my link and click on this invoice, I'm going to have my URL as it is. But sometimes you want to update the URL when there is a change in the backend data. For example, let's suppose the user delete this invoice. We need to persist and delete the invoice instantly. Let me show you what I want to say. So let's add a button that marks the invoice as paid and then navigate us to the index route. So let me first create a function inside this data.js file. Right here, I'm going to create a function to delete the invoice. So I'm going to say here export function delete invoice, and then I'm going to pass here invoice number. So I'm going to say here number, and then I'm simply going to say here return invoice dot filter, and inside this filter I'm going to say invoice. I'm going to grab the individual invoice and say invoice dot number. If it is not equal to number, then return all the objects. Now this condition is just an opposite of this get invoice condition. Let me save the changes, back to the builds. I'm going to back to the builds.js, and right down here in just out of this paragraph, here I'm going to create a button. I'm going to specify button and add on click event on it. Let me first specify text here, delete. And I'm going to specify here on click event, and inside this on click event, I'm going to call an handler function. Inside this handler function, I'm first going to call this delete invoice function. So let me grab this and import that right here at the top. Delete invoice, and then right down here, I'm going to call that delete invoice function and then specify the invoice dot number. I'm going to grab this invoice right from this variable and then specify the number property. Let me save the changes. If you click on the delete button, it's not going to do anything. This is because if you're back to the data.json, I'm just going to return the object right from this function. What I want to delete the object from this global invoices variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify here invoices is equal to, and then specify here invoices.filter and call my condition. Let me save the changes back to the invoices, save this file, reload the browser, and now when I open the invoice, click on the delete button, it's not going to delete that invoice. You have to do some extra work to delete these links from this application. At the top, we need to call two hooks. First is useNavigate and second is useLocation. The useNavigate is used to navigate us to the different location, or you can say to the different route. Right down here, I'm going to call this useNavigate. So at the top, let me first say let navigate is equal to useNavigate. This is a type of hook. So we call here hook and specify that to the variable. And right down here, I'm going to say navigate and call this a function. This function is used to navigate us to the new location. Just out of that, I'm using here use location. So I'm going to copy this, specify that here let location is equal to use location. And as you know, use location is used to get the current URL location. So right inside this navigate here, I'm going to say double quote / invoices, the invoices route, this one, and then specify here plus location dot search. Let me save the changes back to the invoices and search for the invoice. Now when I click on the delete button, you can see it's going to delete that invoice and we're going to have the default index route as a response. If I back to the invoices again, you can see this will delete that object from the list. Now if I click on this first invoice and delete that right from the list, you can see this is going to delete that invoice and I'm going to have the default index route as a response. Now if you reload the browser, it will automatically add all this default data from this file. We are not deleting this data from this file. Instead, we are just deleting the object from the memory. So with the help of useNavigate and useLocation, you can easily delete your data. That's it. I hope you understand the main concepts of React Router DOM. Next, let me show you how you can use all these concepts in the real world examples.